Hi guys, well here I am. Thanks for checking out this recording on the most exciting topic of the large intestine. This one shouldn't be too long, we'll see, right? Once I get started talking, I seem to not stop. This is one of 4 lectures I'm asking you to check out. It's my aunt texting me. The liver one had its own set of interruptions, and this is how it is when I'm at home trying to work. So you can kind of see my mess of a house in the background. It's hard to pick out an angle because I'm all a lot of windows. All right, since you guys are here and you're always curious, I live in a log home. This is my messy kitchen because Roger is a messy person. There's an upstairs, there's a downstairs, and it's just a whole lot of windows and plants. All right, anyway. There you go. So you got to get another little snippet of my life outside of class. I always like to check out your guys' life, not like I'm stalking you. But, all right, let's get this party started and get talking about the liver. Hopefully I'm a little smoother. I doubt it, though. Not the liver, the large intestine. My bad. Sorry, guys. Okay, come on. Okay, so the large intestine, remember, a lot of flow. My notes here of what I want to talk about, associated with the large intestine. So when we are coming off of the ileum, we have the ileocecal valve, that's calling it the ileal orifice, but there's a sphincter to move a food from the ileum into the first part of the small intestine, which is the cecum. So the cecum, and then we travel up the ascending colon. We have the hepatic flexure because it's happening under the liver. We go across the transverse colon. We have the splenic or left colic flexure because it's by the spleen, to the descending colon, to the sigmoid colon, and then we have the rectum, the anal canal, and then out the anus, right? And of course at the end we get a little flush. This pen I'm using is, like signing your name at the grocery store, and it's not so good. So that's my pathway, right? So I have the cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum, anal canal, and anus. There's a lot to the large intestine. Can you live without the large intestine? Yeah, you can. A lot of people have the colostomy bags because it's not vital for survival like the small intestine, right? All the absorption's happening in the small intestine. The large intestine, through this whole pathway, my functions are, I have churning, and this is chock full of bacteria. And these bacteria are further breaking down carbs. They're making vitamin K, right? We need vitamin K. I'm getting some absorption of water ions, vitamins, but not nutrients. That's why we don't give it the claim to fame of absorption. We have absorption of other ancillary things, like not necessary for survival. And then we have defecation as another process. So I've got like churning, mixing, propulsion. So I have propulsion and mixing as functions going on in, oh, don't yell at me for my crappy writing on this thing. Propulsion and mixing, some absorption, but mostly water. And then, of course, this guy's claim to fame is defecation. Hopefully your guys' handwriting and notes is a lot better than this. In the rectum, there are these like valves, and these valves hopefully separate solid from gas. If you have, gas exiting. And then another thing I like to point out on this more exposed, zoomed in picture is this anal column, anal canal. Like there's 2 sets of muscles associated with allowing feces to leave your body, right? You have the involuntary internal sphincter, and then the external sphincter. So that is voluntary. That's going to be skeletal muscle versus smooth muscle. And this is so that we hopefully gain the ability to decide when we eliminate our undigestible solid waste. Otherwise, it's rather unfortunate. I'm not looking forward to those days, but we didn't start out that way, being able to control it, and we're not going to typically end up that way, being able to control it. But in the middle, we control it via the external sphincter muscle, right next to the internal involuntary sphincter muscle. So, all right, looks like I've talked a lot about the flow. So there's modifications in the large intestine. Okay, that's everything we already talked about. Well, let's go back to the other slide, I guess, for modifications. When we have these modifications that I want to talk about are these large, like longitudinal muscles. They're called the Tinea coli. Those are, let's see if I can try to write a little bit better for you guys. Longitudinal muscles. So they're going the length, and what they can do is they can contract and they can kind of squeeze through and have larger movements, right? Mass peristalsis. And then we have these little pockets here, and these little pockets are called haustra. Oh, my tongue doesn't want to work. And material typically jumps from one haustra, then it gets full, gets squeezed out to the next haustra, to the next haustra, as it moves on along, and in addition to these larger movements with this longitudinal muscle. It's these haustra, when people have diverticulitis, that, things get stuck in it and then they get infected. So they could have a diverticulitis with it's like an active attack, versus diverticulosis, where it's not an active attack, but you have issues with this, and now you really can't eat a lot of things with tiny seeds and those sorts of food. So these haustra are like these tiny little pouches where food bops about, undigestible, I don't know what you call it, food at that point, moves along. Okay, I guess I'm ready to move on now. Okay, we talked about the regions. So my functions, we have this churning, that mass peristalsis, usually to, when food hits your stomach, the dog eats her food, has to go out and, eliminate her solid waste, take a poop in the yard, because putting food in the stomach initiates and signals this mass peristalsis. So now your large intestine, also known as the colon, is chock full of this bacteria, and it's commensal. Right? We don't eat our poop because it's chock full of bacteria, but this bacteria has a safe haven in our large intestine. We want it to stay in the large intestine. And it is making B vitamins. I said K, sorry guys. B vitamins and breaking down other parts. But here's my absorption: water, ions, and vitamins. I'm making feces, and I'm defecating. Already talked about that. Histology, I'm not going to look into we can skip this. It looks a little bit even like those gastric pits in the stomach and the intestinal, almost like an intestinal villi, but it's not projecting outward. It's projecting inward like the gastric pit. With the glands, I'm very happy for the mucus. Oh, here we go. Boom. All right. Do I have anything else to say about this mechanical movement? No. Oops. Whoa. What just happened? Okay. And no, you can certainly check that out if you want to. But I think, all right. Well, let's look at some chemical digestion, which I hate to say is a process that occurs because it's not vital for our survival. So we have some things further broken down. proteins, carbohydrates, and it's fermenting those carbohydrates, giving us gas, and making some vitamins like vitamin B, chemically digesting some more proteins into amino acids. Oh, see, I knew there was some vitamin K. Why do I have vitamins twice? Mucus is being secreted, but no enzymes, right? So that's why while I have this chemical digestion, it's due to this bacterial action. So if I say what is a process occurring in large intestine, I guess I would take it if you said chemical digestion, but I wouldn't be a fan. Absorption, all this stuff, typically stays in our large intestine for a good day, not essential. And then here's what we're eliminating. Oh, thank you. Water, hopefully, right? Because we don't want to be trying to eliminate golf balls. Ions, bacteria, cells off the digestive tract. And those are constantly being sloughed off and replaced. And whatever we couldn't digest in our food. Such exciting topic, this large intestine. Defecation reflex, I'm not going to talk about that. What I do want to talk about is that our reflex is affected by how well you're taking care of yourself, right? If you are stressed out and maybe you are decreasing your motility, which means you're going to get constipated. You have more time to take more water back, or if you have increased motility, maybe based on food you ate, I don't know. If you have increased motility, that means you're not going to be able to take as much water back in, and you're going to get the squirts there. So, take care of yourself, really. Oh, is this the slide I'm ending on? I guess it is. Oh, well, let's see. Digestive, large intestine. Oh, yep. All right, my friends. Oops. This is where we are going to finish up talking about the large intestine. So thank you. And I hope you learned something. I don't want to blow off the large intestine, even though we don't need it for life. It's kind of cool. I'm starting to appreciate it a little bit more as I talk a little bit more of it. And I will see you in the next video. All right. Take care.